Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. Well, wow, what a difference a day makes. In my video yesterday I was looking at how the USE minis unfolded on Monday, which was the 11th, and I was saying how it was quite a hard day. Well, yesterday, which was Tuesday the 12th, things were significantly easier, and I wanted to have a look at particularly the NQ to see what kind of trade setups we had here. These are the trade setups on our standard MTPredictor chart. There would have been a buy setup here on a black STF. That would have been a -1 hour loss. There would have been two sell setups here later in the day, which have been 1 hour losers as well. But this profitable trade here would have been plus 4.7 hour. And this is a great example of how when the profits are much larger than the losses, you can have 1, 2, 3 losing trades. That one would have been avoided because it's against a red STF, and only one winner, but the winner was 4.7 times greater than the losers, therefore plus 4.7, -1, -2, -3 still makes money overall. So great example of position sizing. But that's not what I wanted to look at today. I want to look at this with a more experienced user's eye on. So let's have a look at these setups. You may have taken this first setup here, and this may have been a -1 hour loss. This second sell setup here was a great one to take because it's with the STF colour, so you'd have been taking this one as well. But I want to have a look at these two later in the day. As normal, we go to the higher time frame chart and we place our DPs on our chart. Remember, these are leading indicators, so they're on the chart in advance. I just want to put a bit of white space on the right hand side here to see what might be happening. So as the market was declining down, this would have been where our TS3 sell setup on our 3-minute chart would have been. Here's the last swing into this high. So we'd gone back to this last pivot low, and before the market even got there, you can see it's on the chart before the market gets there. This support level would have been on the chart, and as you can see, that actually came in, nailed the low of the day, and actually a TS3 buy setup came in on the 15-minute chart. So if we now go down to the 3-minute chart, we can see how this looked. And there you can see, there it is. The support level is there waiting for you. And interestingly enough, if we place the analysis on, that's in the same area where our profit target for our TS3 trade setup would have come in. So that's why that would have been a great place to take profits. And as you can see, that was pretty close to the low of the day, so a great place to take profits there. But what I want to look at is a bit later on in the day, and particularly these two sell setups here. Now, because this was larger degree 15-minute support, the market was now anticipated to rally off these. In other words, these would have been against an otherwise new uptrend. So the more experienced users among you would have been avoiding these. So that's a good example of how we use our larger degree support and resistance zones to help gauge the larger degree trend. And as you can see, that would have helped. I'll just leave that as it is. That would have helped avoid these otherwise losing trades. So with that in mind, yesterday would have been a very good day, particularly on this TS3 sell setup. But I want to have a look at something even more amazing. One of my favourite trade setups is what I call the MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup. And this is where we have a major support zone come in, which we did at this low here at about 2:30. We then look for the initial rally off that, which we had unfold here. We then look for an initial correction, which we had unfold here. This initial correction we look to be a wave 2, and then we look for a wave 3 kind of rally after that. And as you can see, that is exactly what happened here, where we had an initial rally 1, initial correction wave 2, then a wave 3 kind of rally. Now the trade setup is actually where the wave 2, which is here, subdivides into a lesser degree or minor ABC correction. Now this wasn't evident on the 3-minute chart, so this is one of the rare occasions where I suggest we go down to an even shorter term chart. So let's have a look at the 1-minute chart. Just clear that off. Now ideally, you can see here's the rally, here's the correction, and then the market carried on up. Now ideally, I'll just take that space off the right hand side there so we get a bit more chart to work with. Now ideally, down here we should have actually had a automatic MTPredictor trade setup, but we didn't in this case. So this is why I'm doing this video, partly to show you how you can use the more advanced tools in the MTPredictor software, and one of these tools is the Elliott Wave tool. So here we have a major low on a higher time frame chart. Here we have the initial rally. Here we have a correction. But what type of pattern is this correction forming? Well, we right mouse click over here, we do Elliott Wave Intermediate, and you can see it actually unfolded as an ABC. So this is the basic concept or the basic pattern of a Holy Grail trade setup. A major or higher time frame low, an initial rally which is wave 1, an initial correction which unfolds in a lesser degree or subdivides into a minor ABC. So this would be considered a wave 2 low. So the question now is, how do you project the target? Well, if I go back to the 15-minute chart, obviously as the market's starting to rally up, we go back to the last pivot high, which is this one here. We right mouse click, we place our decision point on. Again, remember that's on the chart in advance as an area where the market is likely to find resistance. So now if I come down to the 1-minute chart again, you can see that this is the level we would have actually had on our chart, and that would have been on there in advance. And you see the market actually rallied up to it. But if you hadn't had this level on the chart, how would you be able to project what we consider the typical or the main Holy Grail target is, which would be a wave 3? In other words, we use our WPT tools, and these are our tools up here. We don't tend to show these much because these are advanced tools, but that's partly why I wanted to include them in today's webinar. So because we're projecting a level up, actually I'll put some space on here again because I want to show you how this is all done in advance. So let's just put an extra bit of space on. So we go back, and when the market actually was at this point, in other words, we had our ABC correction, we had our blue buy bar. In fact, actually that was a VSA setup as well. You can see the volume there was indicating that the market was going to reverse as well with that high volume VSA spike at that level. But let's show you how you could have projected the target up. So for this we use our up wave tool. Here we select our up wave 3, and it's showing you in the menu there where to make the clicks and how many clicks to make. So the first click, as you can see by the tooltip here, is the beginning of wave 1, which would have been that low. The second one is the end of wave 1, which would be the initial rally, and the third click is the end of the wave 2, which we'd be considering down here. We do that, and if I scroll down you can see it places the level on the chart, but again it's there in advance. So how do we build a trade setup around this? Well, again we use another manual tool, which is our risk reward tool up here. We click on this, we then do 3 clicks. The first click is on the bar of entry, which would be just above that blue buy bar. The stop, or the second click, would be where our stop is, which would be on this bar here, which is the bar of the low. Our third click, as you can see, would be our target zone, which is up here. And therefore that gives you an area, or gives you what the trade would be, in other words the risk reward on that trade. So you can see that if this is indeed a Holy Grail trade setup and the market rallies up to this level, the potential profit would be 5.6 times greater than the initial risk. In other words, it'd be a good trade to take. We also note that that's in the area of our 15-minute decision point resistance as well. And as we've already seen, if I take that space off, that's exactly what the market did. From here, it rallied up into our typical wave 3 WPT, and perhaps actually went a little bit higher up into that larger degree 15-minute resistance. But even at the typical wave 3 WPT, there was a lovely profit of 5.6R. So that's the main reason I wanted to do this video today, to not only show you how we actually had a very nice trade on our 3-minute chart, which was that trade there, to take profit at pretty much the low of the day, but not only that, but show you how we had our 15-minute support zone on our chart in advance. That gave an area of where the low of the day came in. We then used the next 15-minute DP as a potential target for a potential rally. Then after that we then aggressively looked to see whether after the main low came in, whether we'd get a Holy Grail trade set up, which is the major low, initial rally, initial correction subdividing into an ABC for a wave 2. We then look for the typical wave 3 WPT as our target, and as you can see that's exactly what unfolded. But the main reason for the webinar is to show you how you can use the more advanced tools, in this case our manual WPT tool and our risk reward tool, to be able to construct a manual trade in and around the pattern that we know typically unfolds. So hopefully a great example of the more advanced tools that are available in the MTPredictor RT add-ons for NinjaTrader 7 for the more experienced users among you.